You're listening to the JD Rucker Show. Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Tensions in Iran are at the highest level that they've been at since 1979, since the revolution, at least internal tensions. They've faced some external challenges over the years, over the decades, including last year when the United States and Israel took out their nuclear program. That was pretty tense. But as far as internal tension, they haven't seen this since the revolution that ushered in the Islamic regime back in 1979. This is 46 years they've been in power, and they are struggling to maintain that power, arguably for the first time in their history, because the country is in shambles. Okay, 42% year-over-year inflation with no sign of it recovering. They're trying to calm things down. Okay, there's revolts, protests in dozens of cities across the nation. The government is trying to calm things down by offering a monthly stipend to help the people, to feed the people. This monthly stipend will come to $7 per person. Now, granted, $7 goes a lot further in Iran than it does in the United States. You can buy anywhere from 50 to 100 eggs with $7, but still, it's not a lot of money, and especially since it's going to be coming every once a month. They're in trouble. The Ayatollah is in trouble to the point that he has already made arrangements, has an escape plan that was leaked, a secret escape plan that would take him and approximately 20 members of his family to Russia, very similar to, of course, Bashar al-Assad from Syria. So here we are, and President Trump is saying, hey, if IRGC keeps killing people, we're going to, quote, hit Iran very hard. I think were his words. Mossad has actively and aggressively come out, and they're open about it. They're like, yeah, we're helping. We're there, boots on the ground. We got our agents in Iran helping the protesters, helping to keep them protesting. So it's not looking good. But I will acknowledge two quick things. Number one, I am not a huge fan, not a fan at all. Shouldn't say huge fan. I'm not a fan at all of regime change. It's none of our business. It's none of our concern. Okay, period. So I am not happy with the idea that we're going to actually do anything. But I don't think we will. I don't think that we're going to do anything that's going to put any Americans in harm's way or waste any taxpayer dollars. I'm hopeful that President Trump is just using his clout to make the threat, and that there's nothing that's actually going to happen. Now, granted, I'm sure the CIA is doing their stuff, but you can't stop them, right? They're going to do whatever the hell they want to do until we can finally abolish the organization altogether, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. Point being is that I don't want to hit Iran. I don't want to get involved in the Middle East at all. No troops, no bombs, no taxpayer dollars, nothing. Okay, Israel can handle it. Saudi Arabia can handle it. There's plenty of other nations that can stop Iran, plus and as well as help the people there. Do I want the Ayatollah to be in charge? No. Do I want to participate in getting him out? No. With that said, there is an actual, I would say, a clean way to coax the Ayatollah out of power. And this is now possible because of Venezuela, because of the capture of Nicolás Maduro. And no, I'm not saying, all right, send in Delta, just send in Delta Force, take the Ayatollah, bring him here. Not suggesting that at all. And it would be much, 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 much more difficult to do that than it was in Venezuela. Number one, first and foremost, the dude's 86 and apparently not in very good health. Could you imagine what the world would say if we sent in Delta and he has a heart attack when there's an MP5 and a big Delta dude standing over him? He could die right there. How are you going to extract him very easily? At least Maduro was, 50-something, I think, maybe 60-something. He was healthy. He could actually, they could put him on his feet and have him walk out. They couldn't do that with the Ayatollah. But that's not the only reason. There are other considerations as far as why we couldn't Maduro the Ayatollah. But there's one thing that President Trump could do, and really it's the Department of Justice could do, that I think would accelerate the exit of the Ayatollah and members of his regime. And that would be to indict them. Indict them. That's the cover that we're using for why we've got Maduro in the first place and his wife. They were indicted in 2020, and this is a law enforcement activity. They weren't. This wasn't necessarily, it's a military coup in Venezuela. No, this was the Department of Justice issuing its warrants just with military involved, and happens to be in Caracas. Well, why couldn't we do the same thing? I'm not saying going into Tehran. I'm saying just indict them. Indict them. I mean, we've talked about for decades how, Iran is the biggest state sponsor of terrorism in the world. Okay, well, I would assume that if we're going to be making those claims, that we have some proof of that. And I would assume that if we have proof that it comes from the Ayatollah and his regime, both the secular aspect of the regime as well as, of course, the true power, which is within the Islamic aspect of it, if they have evidence that Iran is, and the Ayatollah and his regime are the biggest state sponsors of terrorism worldwide, including here in the United States, indict them. That alone should be enough. That's a signal that's like, okay, well, they indicted Maduro, and then they came in and took him. They just indicted us. Maybe we should go to Moscow. Vlad, get my apartment ready. I'm coming. He's got I don't, this is unconfirmed, but I believe that the Ayatollah has like $90 billion. Okay. He can run. Why would he want to stay if there is that true fear, true threat that the United States would come after him? Right now, it's just saying, oh, we're going to hit you. We're going to hit you. That's great. Okay. Hopefully it'll work. Hopefully we don't have to do anything. But I can't see us actually getting directly involved. I don't want us to. Maybe I'm smoking the hopium here. I don't want to get directly involved. Pray for sure. Pray for the people of Iran. There's no other nation in the world that's experiencing quite the Christian conversion as they are. I heard reports that about 2,000 people per day are converting to Christianity. And to put that into perspective, back in 1979, okay, before the regime, before it became allegedly 99% Islamic, before then, there was approximately 500 Christians in Iran back 46 years ago. And now the reports are that they are getting approximately 2,000 conversions per day. This is a good thing. And it can be even better if the Ayatollah were to be removed. But he has to be removed of his own will, or at least forced out by the people. And yes, if Israel and Mossad, they're involved, they're going to be involved either way. So be it. I don't care. Okay, I don't care what they do. I don't care what Saudi Arabia does. I just don't want us to do anything. So yes, pray for them, and let's indict them. Why not? That's that becomes almost like a meme thread. It's like, okay, if you keep it up, President Trump's going to indict you, and if that happens, you know what comes next.
Protect your family. Get your home freeze dryer to start storing food today by going to patriot.tv/harvest.
Somalis in Minneapolis are getting some pretty bad advice. Whoever's telling them to put up these various signs that are supposed to deter ICE in some way, it would be comical if it wasn't so sad. Of course, ICE has been in Minneapolis since late last year. They've been making arrests, getting people set for deportation. Now with the surge from the Department of Homeland Security of federal investigators trying to sniff out all the various crimes, fraud, corruption, everything that's happening in Minneapolis, well, yeah, they're on edge, and probably rightly so. If they've done something wrong, there's a decent chance, I don't want to say a good chance, but there's a decent chance that some of them are going to get caught. So they're putting up these various signs, and these signs are stupid. Here's Angela Rose, who is an up-and-coming independent journalist. Here's what she had to say on the ground in Minneapolis.
Notice that here, the Cultural Center has a sign as to what to do. It doesn't say what to do when what happens, but we can all figure it out. Remain calm and assert your rights firmly. Do not open the door. If ICE claims to have a warrant, do not open the door. Request the name of the agents and ask for a lawyer. Report documents, and they have a response line. And they also say don't go outside until ICE has departed. Here we have a Somali cuisine restaurant that says that they do not allow ICE access into their business.
Like I said, it would be comical if it wasn't so sad. Let's start with that first sign. It said, if you're at your residence and they say they have a warrant, don't open the door. bad advice. Yes, ICE does need a warrant to enter your private residence. They have to have a warrant in order to go get you if you're at home. But if they say they have a warrant, probably a good idea to open the door, because chances are they're going to come in either way. So if they've got a warrant, they're coming in. So you might as well open the door and not risk any altercations or violence that the bad guys certainly will end up losing. As far as that second one, that's the truly comical one. Because here's the thing. ICE can go into any public area of any business. Any place where Joe Bob, citizen or even non-citizen, can enter, like a restaurant. That's where that second sign was. At a restaurant, they can go to the dining room of a restaurant. Any citizen can. So can ICE. ICE does not need a warrant to go in there. Now, for the private areas, like a kitchen or back room or something like that, yes, they would need a warrant. But putting that sign on the door, it's not like, oh, well, it's still a public restaurant, but we're not allowing ICE in. That's not going to work, folks. You can't just say, well, yes, it's public, but if you're ICE, you can't come in. That's not how it works. And if anything, this should be an alarm bell, a red flag that says, hey, we don't want you to come in here, so come on in. That's kind of what's happening. At least I hope that's what's happening. This scandal, it has been going on for far too long, obviously. We can make fun of the way that things are going, but this is a serious problem, and it goes beyond Tim Walz, it goes beyond the Democrats, it goes beyond the Somalis, it goes beyond Minneapolis. This is a problem that we're likely experiencing nationwide, and it isn't until people like independent journalists Nick Shirley or Angela Rose get out there and actually do something, because legacy media is not reporting on it. They're turning a blind eye or pretending like it's not happening. They're actually trying to debunk people like Nick Shirley. It's ludicrous, but it is what it is. Tells us that on top of course, prayer, reading your Bible, praying for the soul of America to be healed before we are completely gone, beyond that, we also need to start acting on our own. We need to start taking matters into our own hands. And if that means exposing the corruption that's in pretty much every major city in the United States, so be it.
Stock up on long-term storage meds. Go to patriot.tv/meds and get the life-saving drugs you need.
Tim Walz, as you all know, is not running for governor anymore, and there seems to be two camps as far as why is he dropping out now? Is it because, number one, there's camp that, he knows the scandal's big, he knows he's going to get busted, and he knows he can't win. Then there's the camp of, he's just trying to protect himself by dropping out, he's putting less exposure on himself, he'll be able to focus on his legal defense, yada, yada, yada. Okay, both good, I get it. But this really isn't about Tim Walz protecting Tim Walz. Believe it or not, I know he's a selfish guy, but this isn't about him. Well, it is in a way, but it really is about protecting one particular class of people and organizations in Minnesota and across the nation, and unfortunately internationally as well. And that is the donors. Tim Walz is dropping out so that he can focus on protecting the donors. Keep in mind, the fraud. We see the the Somalis are buying Lamborghinis. We focus on that, but the reality is, with 2,000 federal investigators heading to Minneapolis as we speak, they're going to uncover this vast circle. It's a circle. Really is a circle of corruption. Starts at the top. Okay, they create the circumstances and they recruit the people. They get the Somali warlords in their particular neighborhoods to be able to recruit the people to take the money. Okay, we know that part. We already see that how that worked. How they were able to disguise things and make it to where, nobody's looking over here. You guys can take as much money as you need. Oh yeah, you're serving 4,000 meals out of your closet every day. Awesome. We don't care, But it's what comes back up. It's the money that's then filtered back up to the Democrats, to the campaigns and the PACs. That's the part that's going to be discovered. And that's the part that Tim Walz is trying to protect. If he's running, he can't do as much to protect them compared to when he's not running. And since he's not running, while he's still governor, for however long that's going to be, He can do certain things to try to protect them, to try to take scrutiny away from them, to disguise them, to make changes in how the process works, to make changes in who's getting the money. And instead of them taking the money and sending it up to the top, they take the money, they give it to their cousin under some new LLC or whatever, and then they send it up to the top. Does that make sense? I hope it does, because, again, Tim Walz, lost cause. He's just going to have to rely on legal chicanery to be able to try to get out of jail time at this point. And he knows that, and the Democrats know that. But they are trying to figure out how do they not protect themselves necessarily. They'll try to do that through the legal system, the broken, corrupt legal system. No, they're trying to protect the donors. The Democrat donors, mega donors, some of them, but most of them are the ones that they're trying to protect, at least, are the corrupt ones, the ones that should not be able to donate money that was filtered down to them through the system itself. Those are the donors that they're trying to protect. They're going to switch things up and make it to where there is as little exposure as possible so that the government will not be able to take them all out. That's it. This isn't about protecting Tim Walz. It's not even about protecting the Democrats necessarily directly. It's about protecting the donors and the system that allowed this all to happen.
The best coffee out there is from a Christian company. Go to patriot.tv/coffee and lock in.
Ana Navarro from The View said something that shocked me, and not in a bad way. Watch.
Your question, who voted for this? The people in South Florida. The Venezuelan community, the Cuban American community, the Nicaraguan American community voted for this. And for us, this is a very, very happy day when we see a dictator who has been part of oppressing and abusing the Venezuelan people for 25 years, when we see him in handcuffs and held to some sort of accountability. It brought me to tears. It brought me great joy. And, I live in South Florida.
But are you okay with the way that it was done?
But you can, I think both things can be true.
Okay.
I think you can criticize and ask questions and have concerns about the way it was done and what this means in the future.
Right.
And I think you can still celebrate that this murderous, corrupt, sadistic son of a bitch is out of Venezuela.
Yeah.
Because he has... I think there's 8 million Venezuelan exiles all over the world. People have fled from this man's tyrannical rule. So for me...
There are few, very few people in this world, especially in the public eye, who hate President Trump more than Ana Navarro. So for her to be willing to go on national television and to sort of, at least partially, give him kudos, that took a lot. But it makes you wonder if she's willing to do it. How many other people of Hispanic descent are sitting there, perhaps there, and I've seen, she's not the first one to do it. She's the first one on national television that I've seen do it. But I've seen plenty of videos on social media of people saying, I am anti-Trump. I never liked Trump. I didn't vote for Trump, but he was right on this one, and this is good, and this is great. Maduro was awful, and blah, 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 blah. What sort of effect is this having on Hispanic voters going into the midterm elections? Could this be not just the right move from a justice perspective, a narco-terrorism perspective, a financial perspective with the oil? This could also actually turn out to be a very good move, politically speaking, for the president and for the Republican Party.
Protect your family. Get your home freeze dryer to start storing food today by going to patriot.tv/harvest.
We now have official confirmation that the quote-unquote protests following the removal of Nicolas Maduro as dictator in Venezuela, that those protests were heavily funded by deep pockets, deep leftist, Marxist, globalist pockets, very similar to the No Kings protests or the attacks on Tesla when Doge was getting rolled out. But these protests are actually a bit different. Number one, they popped up very quickly within 12 hours, and that's important. I'll explain why in a second. But they're also not going to continue, which is also important, and I'll explain why in a second. But I first want to take note of the massive hypocrisy. Here we are. This is a group, and these organizations, these people, these protesters, these paid protesters, were the same exact people that were out there at all of the various No Kings rallies. So they went from No Kings to defending a tyrannical dictator that the people hated, that was in power based upon a fraudulent election, at least one fraudulent election that we know of. They were able to sustain for a long time, burning Teslas, protesting Tesla, which is odd because, of course, Tesla is the leader when it comes to quote-unquote green energy here in the United States as it pertains to the automotive industry. So you'd think, we love green New Deal, green everything. Oh, but Tesla bad because Elon Musk bad because he's trying to stop corruption and fraud, the hypocrisy, the idiocy, the sheer stupidity, and I would say the demonic, satanic evil behind it all does need to be called out. But I want to explain why, first and foremost, why these coordinated protests were able to pop up so quickly and why they're going to disappear. The reason they popped up quickly is pure narrative control. The left, the radicals, and I'm not talking about the upper-ups, I'm not talking about the little foot soldiers that they just go wherever they want. Oh, today we're no kings. Oh, today we're for kings. King Maduro, let Maduro go. They don't care. They don't know. They are just completely blinded. But they had to be rolled out immediately because this move came unexpectedly. The globalists didn't see it coming. They thought they would have time, that it would be telegraphed, maybe that something would happen. Press would get the story out there days, maybe even just hours ahead, and they would know. But they didn't know, so they had to get the message out there. No, this is bad. Maduro, getting rid of Maduro, we got to get that out there to our leftists, our progressives, our whatever, soccer moms or whatever. They had to get those nothing against soccer moms, by the way, if you happen to be one. I'm just saying that's what their thinking is. They got to get the message out quickly, and they did. They were able to get it out there, and you had people that were screaming and chanting like hard about, we stand with the people of Venezuela. And then the video started coming out with pretty much universally the people of Venezuela were cheering. They're happy. They love it there. And then they started putting out more videos lambasting all the idiots that are out there saying, we stand with the people of Venezuela, so release Maduro. It made no sense. And the guys up here, the powers that be, the upper-ups, they knew that was going to happen. That's why they needed to get the message out so quickly. And they did, but that message is not permanent. It's just, hey, let's get the first batch out there so we set the tone and then get people committed, and then it doesn't matter. Yeah. But it does tell you two things. Number one, that the goals, the desires of these powers and principalities, these evil people in high places, that their goal is very singular. They had to do this for one reason only, and it's the same thing, that one reason is the same thing that drives these people. It's not just that they're paid protesters. They would do it for free, a lot of them would. It's the fact that they're getting paid. They feel like they're getting compensated for doing what they really wanted to do to achieve their ultimate goal, to follow the one thing that drives them, and at least the lower level thing that drives those upper-ups, the powers and principalities. It comes down to one thing, 3 letters. OMB. Orange man, bad.
Stock up on long-term storage meds. Go to patriot.tv/meds and get the life-saving drugs you need.
I often find myself having to believe in my heart that the leftists, the Democrats, the globalists, the Marxists, whatever you want to call them, because they really are becoming one and the same, one gigantic glob of idiocy. I have to believe that they are stupid, that they are just idiots, ignorant, maybe some of them, but mostly just morons. Because when I see reports such as the one that I'm about to show you, if they are not ignorant, if they are not stupid, then the only other option is that they are evil. I want you to watch this. It's a 30-second clip, but it's big news as far as I'm concerned. And the last portion of this news is definitely worth paying attention to.
A new report has revealed that Joe Biden's HHS spent $22.6 billion in grants for migrants, covering cars, home loans, cash, housing, healthcare, and even money to start up businesses, all funded by American taxpayers. According to the report, the Office of Refugee Resettlement funded billions to nonprofit organizations, acting as a, quote, giant magnet for illegal migrants, all while losing track of 32,000 migrant kids. More than $12 billion went to unaccompanied minors, even though reports exposed unvetted and abusive sponsors.
So there you have it. That's why, if you couldn't tell, why I hope and pray that these people are just stupid. And when I say these people, I'm talking about anyone who supported or continues to support the open borders policies from the last administration, the policies that enticed illegal aliens. We've talked often on this show about just the trek alone, the pathway through which these quote-unquote migrants, before they become illegal aliens, before they cross the border, how these migrants were told, yeah, come this way, go through the cartels, it'll be fine, and then they realize that it's not fine. They go through hell. A lot of them do. And that's bad enough, okay? The rapes, the kidnappings, the murders, just that's on their way here. But then once they get here, could it be any worse? I would argue, yeah. For some people it is. Notice that they said that it's $22 billion given to illegal aliens to buy cars, homes, start businesses, just get straight up cash. That's bad enough. Okay, that's bad. We already knew about that. And keep in mind, that's one program out of dozens of similar programs through different agencies, different departments, giving out to different NGOs, different charities to facilitate and to coordinate the mass invasion that we experienced for the last 4 years. But the last portion, you notice, is $12 billion, so more than half. 12 out of the $22 billion went to unaccompanied minors. Now, I want you to stop and think about that for a moment, because we know that they mentioned 32,000 missing. That's just in that one program alone. We know that the actual number of missing illegal alien children is in the hundreds of thousands at the minimum. I would not be completely shocked. I would be shocked, but I was shocked for a different reason if it wasn't more than 1 million missing children. And I've talked in the past about how there is a satanic element to all of this. But just this portion, this story, over half the money went to unaccompanied minors. And by unaccompanied minors, we're talking about the money goes to their sponsors, their benefactors, their unvetted, oftentimes, and abusive people, adults, that are supposed to be taking care of them. So these are people that would use these children. They would abuse them. They would, and still do, still abuse them, still use them for whatever. We've heard stories about child labor here in the United States of America. We point our fingers at, oh, look at what's happening, child labor in China, child labor in Afghanistan. What about child labor here in the United States? It's happening. And not only is it happening, it's being funded by us, by you and me. The abuse is being funded. We're paying people, as taxpayers, we are paying people to abuse children. It doesn't get any more evil than that, folks. It really doesn't. I mean, that's why, again, I refer back to my initial statement. I have to believe that the people supporting these programs are just the stupidest possible human beings around. Because otherwise, they are pure evil. And I will have it's hard enough for me to forgive and to pray for the ignorant. But it's really hard for me to forgive and pray for the evil.
The best coffee out there is from a Christian company. Go to patriot.tv/coffee and lock in.
This is your wake-up call, pal.
Be sure to follow me on, everywhere, because I do put different content in different places. The best way to do that is to go to jdrucker.com/find, F-I-N-D, jdrucker.com/find. It's got on my websites, Substacks, various channels, podcasts, all of that good stuff. We are expanding dramatically. We're expanding not just at Patriot TV, but also with all of my other properties and endeavors. We're trying to do some pretty amazing stuff. Yes, it is an election year, but that's not really the focus. I shouldn't say that's not the focus. That's not the only focus. We're not going to be like politics. We really do want to focus on the culture and the faith aspects of it. Things are getting crazy in the world. and it's not something where everything we could just vote our way out of. Well, obviously we are going to try to put some focus on the political side, because we do have an election to win. The midterms are going to be extremely important. I'm not going to say, oh, it's the most important election of our lifetime. It's the most important midterms of our lifetime. I'm not going to say that, because everybody always says that. But it is important. If we want to see a continuation of what President Trump is doing, the only way we can possibly do that is if he's not hampered completely by Democrats taking control of the House, the Senate, or God forbid, both. So that's going to be very important, especially when we take into consideration the Senate and the notion that there will likely be at least one, if not two, possibly even three Supreme Court justices coming open here in the next 3 years. So making sure that we retain control of the Senate is going to be extremely important for the very distant future. House too, I don't want to downplay that. But the point is that our expansion with, again, all of my various properties, you can find them at jdrucker.com/find. I am putting full effort, 100%, quit my day job, doing this full time. Best way to support me. People always ask, do you have a Patreon? Do you have a GoFundMe or a GiveSendGo? Look, the best way to support me truly is to go to my Substack, jdrucker.substack.com, and sign up for one of the premium packages. You don't get anything for it. It really is literally just for those who want to support my work. It's sort of a thank you. And yes, we do have some people that take that higher package and really thank and bless me and my family. So greatly appreciate that. So check that out, jdrucker.substack.com. I don't put things behind a paywall, so I don't say, oh, you got to subscribe to get this. I just give it to everybody. It's always going to be 100% free. With that said, we could definitely use the financial help. So again, jdrucker.substack.com. The posting schedule, because people have asked, I've jumped around, bounced around morning, evening, night. It is challenging considering that we are, I'm running Patriot TV as president of the company. And I have found that trying to be a show host and president of the company can be challenging. So we're going to post as much as we can, as often as we can. And Lord willing, I'll be able to get on a regular schedule and do a full, I love doing 2, 3, 4, 5 hour shows. But that's probably not very easy to do when you're also doing all the other things that I am doing. Hate making this about me, but people have asked, so gotta come out there and explain it. Lord willing, I will be back very soon with another episode. But in the meantime, you all stay strong, stay safe, and God bless.